But beautiful, 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 beautiful. Dr. Morse, when I was young, I was undiagnosed celiac. I had HPV to the point that my uterus was removed because of the lesions. Oh, God, honey. You know, I'm glad you guys are tuning in to us because I would like to start the light of a new day on this planet. I mean, this whole medical, let's remove things. Let's take it out. We can't fix them. We don't know what causes the lesions. You only have two sides of chemistry. You only have a bunch of cells that are surrounded with spaces called interstitial, which has the blood and the lymph, which has the kitchen and the sewer fluids. You couldn't have anything much more simpler, you know, but when you try to get into this, the finite biochemistry, some of the problems laid with that is a lack of understanding of the pH of the fluids, from the cytoplasm to the interstitial and the effect that has on it. So it's just, you're so better off if you keep things simple and understand it from the most simplest point of view there is, and then go out if you want to dig in, because you always have those pillars to come back on. It's like math has pillars, English has certain pillars. Everything has its foundation structure. It's like the languages also have certain foundations, like you get into Spanish and stuff. I mean, you got Portugal, Spain, you've got Mexico, you got the South Seas, you've got all levels of versions of these. And the same thing with, you know, Indian, the same thing everywhere. Sanskrit. So the most important thing, though, is to start learning that things are very curable and that you have to come back to the foundation of science, because you can't call the foundation of science pseudoscience. Where are you going? Acid and base pseudoscience? Okay. I mean, this is the idiocy of this. And the sad thing of those that are out there jumping like that are just, you know, setting up their own world in a negative way, and that's, you know, karma stuff. So fast forward 25 years, I've had a severe toxic trauma from a water-damaged building. Oh, yuck. I went through a heavy medical detox with indiscriminate binders. Oh, you know what's funny is your body naturally wants to get rid of chemistry it doesn't want, whether it's a splinter, piece of glass, metal. It doesn't matter. And the same thing is consumed chemistry. A lot of these proteins that people are eating are just foreign proteins, what we call foreign proteins or acids to the human body. And the humans just seem to be wallowing in acids when their body's screaming for hydration, screaming for the base side of chemistry. And there's no pseudoscience in it. This is totally chemistry and the effects each side has. And you can figure it out very easily by watching symptomology or the suffering that people are going through and asking yourself, which side of chemistry do you think they're suffering from? Well, when you ask yourself that question, that pulls you into your body and says, okay, now, what system in my body deals with acids? Since acids are the corrosive side of chemistry, they're the inflammatory side of chemistry, they're the degrading, destructive side of chemistry, and in the immortal words of medical thinkers, it is the cancer-causing side of chemistry. And if you're a medical doctor and you understand physiology at all, just back it up. Back it up from the cribs, back it up from all those cycles, and take a look at what the body creates and ask yourself how it gets rid of. And get rid of this idea that the body dumps acids back into the venous system. All right, so scary with these things. It's like right now, I mean, your foods. If you look at all your foods in your grocery store and everything, they're using the word bioengineering. So to me, that's a word that encompasses everything from genetic engineering, modifying, to nano-level technology. And that's one of the problems. Using nanotechnology, even if it's minerals, the problem man has, he doesn't understand the limits of cell wall permeability. The limits are, when you get into nano levels, how does a body protect itself from harmful chemicals that our society thinks that are good for you? Like when you take a look at the average food and you start reading what's in the average food, you ask yourself, why in the world would any manufacturer add a list of chemicals like this in their food? Stabilizers, unstabilizers, stringents, unstringents. You go on and on and on and on and on. Flavor enhancers, you just go on. Why are you doing that? Food is food, and if you have inferior food, change how you grow it. Or get away from cooked foods and get into raw foods. That'll really focus your attention on growing foods properly, because cooking, you can throw any spice in there and it doesn't matter the quality of the food at all. But when you get into the raw foods, quality is everything. About 3 years ago, I was fed up with the doctors and over 20 diagnoses. Yeah, God, I feel for you, Hetty. I do, because it is a merry-go-round or the world of the popping jack. Oh. It's just insanity. Man needs to stabilize, get his awareness back, because he's being invaded on all levels. It'd be interesting. We've been talking about this for a lot of years, haven't we? Now coming in our faces. Yeah, a little faster than I thought, maybe. So from Crohn's to fibroid to IBS to IBD to Hashimoto's to POTS to Lyme's, you name it. I know, isn't that something? But remember this. You have a physical human body that is exclusively made of cells. Cells are structure function, right? So I'm a cell. I get my awareness, basically. I don't even want to use that. I get my mental functionability through my genetic memories, my awareness, because I come out of the one like everything else does. So every cell in your body is reflective of emotions, memory. Animals have it, cells have it, plants have it. It's part of how you get here in the spiritual side of life. You can't get here in the physical realm without having a mind and emotions. You can't just have consciousness and then have a physical body. The physical body couldn't handle it. You got to cut that power of who you are way down by the time you get here in the physical body, or you'll burn it right up. I've had my body so hot before you couldn't touch it. I'm going, uh-oh. Here goes auto-incineration or whatever. But remember that you have a fluid that moves more like the tortoise that is literally everywhere. And I've shown you, matter of fact, where is that little thing here? So if this is the lymphatic system in the finger, what do you think your lymphatic system looks like in your brain, in your heart, in the ovaries, in the uterus? Ask yourself. These are vessels, just like blood vessels, capillaries. You have lymphatic capillaries, blood capillaries. These are, you go out into peripheral areas because every cell produces waste and byproducts. Every cell is just a little manufacturing unit, a little house, however you want to look at what a cell is. And you've got to be able to remove wastes from cars, manufacturing, human bodies. So when you see how much lymph is involved, and you begin to realize that you've been stagnant lymphatically since you were born, probably to a certain degree, how bad this can be. Because after a while, when lymph quits flowing well here, this finger starts swelling. Then you get a little cyst, abscess, tumor, or whatever on it. That's when this is blocked. Can't go on up the wrist. It goes right on up. eventually under the arms, and eventually, hopefully, out the kidneys. This is sewage. It's got to be removal. Sewage removal 101. There needs to be a new class for medical thinkers, and also naturopathic and massage therapists and everyone else. Everybody's got to get with learning the lymphatic system and the two sides of chemistry. You get with that, and you understand what you're up against and how quickly, even if it's 6 months, even if it's a year. Let's say you're a quadriplegic down and you can't move anything, maybe the head a little bit, and tongue and minor. You can go from that, can't feel anything, so you can go from that to being able to move your toes. Where are you touching? You're on my right toe. Where are you touching now? You're on my left toe. In other words, you can go from not having any sensation to full sensation in 6 months to a year. But look at what you got to do. You got to be all raw, take herbs. Can you do that? Well, what's your diet now? How did you develop how you like your diet now? And it's the way I love fruit. I've always loved fruit. And so it was not difficult for me to go, you know what? Let me try eating all fruit. See what that's like. And bam! Whoa! Holy crap! Where's this secret been hiding? So what I'm getting at here is that the lymphatic system is systemic, head to toe. You can be diagnosed with 20 different diseases when the lymphatic system isn't filtering through one kidney. And they go, it's this. No, it's going to be this. No, it's going to be that. Oh, I can't find it in the medical books. No other medical doctors found this thing yet and put their name on it. Well, Hashimoto did. You know what I'm saying? In other words, you have a systemic problem that confusing to those that look with a mind that sees in pieces. Holistic is a view where you're looking at the body, you're looking at life holistically. You're seeing how everything works together initially. You always have to, when you build anything, you first build it from the foundation up. You have a foundation, you have a frame. And you will always rely on that foundation some way or another, whether it's square, out of square, whatever. And at that foundation, in this physical universe, rests in chemistry. And your physical body you're using, remember that, you're only using this, relies totally on it for its survival. And for a health modality to claim that your chemistry interactions, your lifestyle has nothing to do with diseases shows you how far away these people are from reality, and that they were taught something very, very wrong. You can never lose the reality of chemistry and how the body works here. And just because it's not in an A&P book doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Some other human wrote the A&P book. And I guarantee you, there's very few anatomy physiology professors that have a complete understanding of the human body. And when they do, like Pat, she can't even teach it because it's not in the book. Some butt wrote a book, didn't understand the body as much as they should have. I mean, when you go through some of these A&P books, it's like, really? I started down a path of regenerative health, and have been level 2 and 3. Oh, good, Dr. R. M. eating for 3 years. My body is regenerating. Don't you love that? I mean, come on. This is the message you've got to get to the world, though, is that don't live and let others control your awareness, your mind, what you think you know to be true. Dig past that into the heart and realize that the divine, the creator, created both sides. The decay, the side of decay, atrophy, you have to have it. Life is birth, life, and death. But then also, how do you build health out of that? So one can play with anything he wants to in creation. You can play with anything you want. Have fun. But everything you play with has a cause and effect to it, but also has, with every action, an opposite and equal reaction. So if you don't like your life, you don't like what's coming at you, change it. Because what you put out comes flying back. Whether you see it now or next lifetime. You want to clean that up. That's what Twitchell and all the Eckmasters and all the spiritual giants are really here to help. After, you get your own, you got it. You have these experiences and you're developing yourself. Yeah, okay. But there's a herd of other unconscious entities that could use help too. That's the buddy system, I call it down here. It gets itself unconscious, and then somebody's got to go, hey, remember who you are? If not, you can stay a long time. I am reversing aging. Absolutely. Because really, you could look at aging almost as acidosis. And look at the difference. We talk a lot about the difference between how some of the islanders look and how some of the Alaskans look. And so you can see what basically a high protein diet will do to the human body, and a diet with mixed diet of fish and fruits and stuff like that. You get to the older islanders that are already in their 90s and 100s. A lot of them are only having problems because they're eating in their older years what they didn't have when they grew up. And I've talked about several people I've had in here. Had a 96-year-old black lady. I couldn't believe it. She was so soft and toned. Her teeth were nice and everything. And I kept asking her, I said, you're 96? And she said, I'm 96. Why are you asking me that? I said, I just love, and I think that's what you saw in Bernard Jensen. Appreciated and really loved longevity, And when you see someone that's 120, full faculties, body looks good, teeth is there, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. In today's world, where you have chemtrails and every other toxins coming at you from other levels. So it's amazing, and you can go back and look at this. When you look at people on high-protein diets, and you can even see it yourself. When you get off of these high-protein diets, you start regenerating like this individual here. And then they go back, not good. This guy that cleans our pool, he had a lot of problems, so I put him on raw, and put him on a diet, feeling better. He's not perfect, but he's better. And we have conversations about the proteins and what it does. And it's hard to understand that when you come out of a world. I come out of a world of farming, Midwest. And if there wasn't a piece of meat at that meal, where's the food? It's just the way it is. And the milks, and all of that. Of course, this probably changed a lot nowadays. But let me see what she said here. Okay, October, a squamous cell carcinoma lesion showed up on my left eyelid. Well, you're backed up. You're backed up lymphatically all over the friggin' place. So what you do is you get yourself hydrated. Because I can tell you for absolutely sure, if you put a cell in acids, it's not going to be, especially at 3 pH and below, you're not going to have a cell long. You're going to end up with what the pathologist would call a cancer cell or a mutated, degraded cell. Of course you are. So imagine going back and realizing that your sewer system is wrapped around all the cells, almost. And when that sewer system is stagnant, you're holding metabolitic acids from the cell activity itself. You're holding that around the outside of a cell as long as a cell can discharge it through its membrane wall. What happens when the cytoplasm, the cell gook, if you will, life force becomes acidic, the organelles are damaged, the RNA and everything gets mutated? That's what you're seeing. That's what you're seeing. Now, What's interesting is that we can reverse that by going to the other side of chemistry and going, hey, embracing the hydrating, the electrical side. Well, how can just doing that change the morphology of a cell, especially an atypical cell that hasn't been degraded to the point where it's going to be gone out of here? You know, how does that affect that? And that's because everything is consciousness. You have to add the spiritual element if you want to have a planet that has an elevated ability to respect each other and to help each other get well and to not have the wars and everything that they have. Planet's a long way from that. But there are other places that have more respect, and it's loaded with places in God's worlds. Loaded with places. You're just on not a very evolved planet. You have to get with that. And some of you guys are much more evolved, and you're touching, I want to leave. I don't want to reincarnate anymore. How do I do that? You know, when you realize you're the creator and you have the ability to create whatever you want and that you already are and don't realize it, and then you start learning how you can not create. As soon as you engage the mind and thought, you're creating. And then you want to get an emotional element right. That gives another element of a thought, to put an emotion into a thought. Well, that is another body. I got to grab my actual body for that and get some emotions going on to drive the thought. And then you also have a body in the lowest world that we know of, and that is the physical world, the physical body. Fun stuff. You know, learn about how the world and the universes are put together, how it affects you, who you are really in the scheme of all of this, and start waking up from the drama. The drama. This is a soap opera. Creation is one big-ass soap opera. Because that alone exists. What else would you do? Have one big-ass soap opera. So it's just showing that your cells, squamous, you're degrading your cells. And acids are the only side of chemistry that really does that you can say is systemic long enough to do that. So move thy lymph. And this is, I mean, and when you look at this, you realize just how impacted my body is with lymph vessels. And when these are impacted, you can imagine you're going to lose cells here and there. Doesn't matter. And the surrounding tissue is going to be inflamed. You could have cysts, tumors, whatever. You are agglomerated, meaning you're not moving your sewer system in their body. And your kidneys and your skin, this is what people have to understand. The kidneys and the skin are your eliminative organs of your sewer system. And until people get with that on this planet, you're going to be fighting unconsciousness, confusion. I don't understand what's going on here. Not everything is a food for humans. You have to realize that. You go in a restaurant and open up the menu, most of the menu are not for humans. So, I mean, there's no question. And what proof of it is, we're showing you through diet, and this individual's doing it, she's kicking butt, that through diet, she's changing her matrix. She's changing all of these diagnoses. She's backing down the inflammatory response because she's bringing hydration into the body. And then it won't be long and all these weaknesses will start repairing itself. No other cells will be involved. You have to give it time because the finger, you see how much? There's so much lymphatic vessels in the human body, we don't know. Remember, most A&P books do not have a lymphatic system in the brain until the University of West Virginia found it. And their findings said that you couldn't see it in cadavers. It's like it was so viscous that it disappeared when you died. So they've never found the lymph system in the brain. There's a lot to that study I really liked about that. But it just adds more drama, mystery to the divine. Why would a lymph vessel piggyback a blood vessel? And Pat and I have talked about this, and it's just like, and we talked about this the other night on the Zoom. Because the big universal question, how does your body, how does your car eliminate the waste and byproducts of its activity? Being that those products are predominantly acids and more down below 3 and below pH. So we have acid air from that. We call it pollution. And it's just a byproduct of things. It's also the byproduct of exhalation. So sounds like you're really getting it together here. I refused to go through the Moose surgery. They told me I would need plastic surgery to reconstruct the eyelid. It's just lymph. Just get yourself draining. You can use hot and cold. Use the neurolymphatic system here and down the back. Get yourself on a water fast for 3 or 4 days. Then put yourself on a 10-day grape diet. Maybe do a 1-day, 24-hour dry fast. In other words, you're rocking, you're pulling, you're moving. You could go, everything looks good, teeth looks good. You could go on a 10-day Stanley Burroughs lemon juice fast. Strong astringents. Start astringing, hydrating, and astringing these lymphatic areas, and you'll open that, but you got to open the doorway of the kidneys. See, so there is a modus operandi. There is a journey that if you understand how the body's built, then you can understand why the journey. And so when you look at our detox protocols, I know the other night at the UK Fruit Festival, I was throwing out a lot of herbal protocols, but I generally don't try to do that. I'm not Dr. Morse's Herbal Health Club has all the formulas on it and how to order the protocols and stuff like that. So, I can give you mostly kind of quickly what I think you could go on, but take a look at that. Our new book is it's due in about another week or two, and we're going to go keep with the 3-wing binder. I'm trying to negotiate these prices down, but that has your protocols are in there, and what I need, and how you can cut down a protocol depending on your finances and things like that, because everybody's different, but you can always find a way. Always find a way to get what you need to go after the body, even if you have to go to herbal teas. But the lymphatic system is your premier system. Well, here's your premier system that you always want to think about when you're thinking about botanicals and what botanicals do I want to add to my fruit and berry and melon diet. Whoa, well, I know the lymphatic system is involved with eliminative organs. My sewer system has kidneys, which are not filtering. I'm learning that. I'm learning my skin isn't sweating. I'm cold all the time. I'm thyroid. So, number one, we're going after the lymphatic system, right? So that's my number one goal. So number one, kidneys. I always have a kidney formula. Always, number one. Always. And I prefer 2. That's how bad we are in our kidney performance, right? Kidneys. Now, who controls the kidneys? Who controls everybody? The endocrinology, the endocrine glands of the body, starting with the pituitary hypothalamus area, going down to the thyroid, parathyroid. You got the thymus gland, the heart. You got the pancreatic. You got a lot of endocrinology in the body. Adrenal glands, ovaries, prostate. So you got a lot of endocrinology there that needs to be enhanced, because most endocrine glands are like this. What hormone did you want me to give you? Oh, you needed some more estrogen? Progesterone? What's that? You want some testosterone? Is that a good-looking woman? I don't have any. So that's all cellular. What could be suppressing the cell performance, ability to perform? You could go back first, the consciousness of the cell genetically? Absolutely. What would be the other thing? What could obstruct the flow of energy? Remember, we talked about calories and why I'm not a believer in calorie crap and all that stuff, right? Because this has to do with energy and the flow of energy. And if you take energy back to its original point of creation, you're at pure consciousness. So if you step pure consciousness down and start individualizing it, now you're getting into states of consciousness. So everything is referred to as a state of consciousness because everything comes out of consciousness. Everything has awareness to it. Your dog look up at you? You don't think that's not awareness? A cat? It don't matter. Your horse comes up and nudges you. You got a little apple in you? Huh? I mean, everything is. Some are on the negative side a little more than others. Some are on the positive side a little more than others. It's the game. It is the soap opera. You got to have differences, or the soap opera doesn't sound too good. You know, when everything's the same, things stagnant, and that's your dark negative forces. You want color and vibrancy and individuality and life in creation. Remember the differences. You have creation and you have non-creation. You have duality and then you have the one. Let me see, where am I here? She said, and we're convinced it was from the sun. Well, you know what? Radiation burns you, acids burn you, and radiation is a form of acids, and yeah. So what state does your body need to be in to survive the acid sun, to survive all of this? Yes, a hydrated alkaline state. So in a way, the inner terrain of your body is dictating your experience because nature has to have all its components for life and health. Notice how a flower loves to follow the sun. Oh, girl, you feel good. And after I get out of these stupid fluorescent lights, I just, come on, sun. I need it. Come on. I've been zapped of energy. So any obstruction to the flow of energy creates dis-ease. And the more obstruction to the flow of energy, you need to pump more energy producing nutrition into a body to get more nutrition out of it. What happens if I remove all the obstructions to the flow of energy? I don't know. I know what I did when I removed a lot of mine. I can stay in my body. So, and I see that in athletes that are following our programs. You see it with Brady. You see it with all these people. The stamina, the endurance that they have. And not on the level of food that some people think. You know, you don't have an obstruction to the flow of energy. That energy is boundless. Well, what could be the... mucus. Blockage to the flow of energy. I can't breathe. I can't smell. I don't know what's going on. Mucus. Blockage to the flow of energy. Mucus. Blockage to the flow of energy. What causes mucus? Acids, irritants, chemistry that's foreign to the human body, food that the body doesn't want. I can look at milk and get mucus. Cheese. So now what does your body do with the mucus? Can't get rid of it because your body is in a acidic, cationic state. So the mucus can't be eliminated. And then, of course, when you get into quads and paraplegics and some of the COPDers and you've lost your nerve response, try coughing up mucus. A lot of people die that way. Horrible. So, upon her own research, I have learned that HPV and a severe toxic trauma can also cause SCC. Could this be part of my detox and regeneration? I'm on a protocol through your clinic and living at level 4 diet in Ecuador. Oh, did you, Dad Marie, take you down to Ecuador? Yeah, no hurricane. We were talking about the Ecuador this morning. No hurricanes in Ecuador. Thank you very much. I just finished the fencing. Yesterday, I finished the fencing from the hurricane. How long has the hurricane been here? 6 months, 8 months ago? Just finished it from the hurricane taking out my fence. Oh my God, that's a lot of work. I hand build the fence. Could this be? Okay. Can my body clear this? They are worried it will spread. Things don't spread. A cell that's been damaged in the eyelid can't move into the brain and make another cell damaged because it was damaged. Cuckoo. But what system can the same system that cell is exposed to in the eyelid, is it the same system that is in the brain? But of course, darling, you've got blood and lymph, the two fluid-based systems of the human body outside of water, agua. And agua totally deals with the inflammatory response. So you've got blood and lymph. And these are the two fluids that are responsible for maintaining the health and integrity of each cell. And rarely, of course, when you're having toxic chemistry and stuff, you're carrying that to the cell, no question. So, I'm not sure what you're asking in the last part of this is enough to say this, honey. Dig in. I mean, you're down in a beautiful part of the world. You've got fruits all over the place. Become a fruitarian for a couple of years and let the body take care of itself. If you can afford some herbs, get some herbs for kidneys, the lymphatic system, the endocrine glands. You always have herbs for the endocrine glands, always herbs for the kidneys. Now, if you want to add something else for the adrenals, okay, we do, because they're so big and so involved that we do add an adrenal gland formula, because most people's adrenals are shot. So we do that. I also give you something for the GI tract. Most people's GI tract is the worst part of their body genetically and lymphatically. So if most of you that are familiar with iridology, boy, when we go to the iris, the first thing that pulls your attention is right to the pupil, right around the pupil, the GI tract. What condition are you? Because that's your embryology. That's your consciousness of the cells. But it's also how you absorb and break down nutrition, absorb nutrition, and eliminate the rest of the digestive matter, or undigested matter, however you want to look at it, unabsorbed matter. So you're always going after the GI tract. So I have GI Renew or GI Broom. You know, I love the brooms. And then look at all the sulfur people, full of sulfur in the gut. So you want to, these are some of the most important areas of the body: kidneys, GI tract, endocrinology of the body. You're right at the most important factors of the human body. That's what you want to use herbs for. And if you're putting together an herbal formula, you find the best herbs there are for that. I've lived with herbs all my life, and so, I've gotten used to which herbs don't like each other and which do, and, some people don't like each other. So they don't do well in formulas. It takes a lot of years to learn that. But dig in. I mean, everything here is saying lymph. You got Crohn's, or what I think you said Crohn's, fibromyalgia. All right, so Crohn's, IBS you're looking at, interstitial lymphatic stagnation in the small and large intestinal wall. IBS, fibro, I'm pretty sure there are many systemic fibromyalgia or lupus, Lyme, stuff like that, And what they're saying here is basically you're systemically backed up acidically. And now you're going to start breaking down your cells. And that's what you're seeing. So How do you stop that? You don't go after cells. You go after the lymphatic system. And that's what we're dealing with. That's what my whole gig is predominantly about, because everything else is easy. Easy to clean up the blood. Everything else is easy to clean up. It's your lymphatic system is the trick. So, should be pretty good with that. Hello, dear Dr. Morse. Hi. Thank you for your very informative teaching. Oh, thanks. Thanks, I appreciate that. Well, it's kind of fun to pull things back more simple. It's kind of fun to learn things. I always like learning new things. Creation is full of, this idea that you ever think you can learn everything is just stupid stuff, because it's just, the only way you can see and know things in a more of a totality is when you're conscious. The mind cannot, in any stretch of its imagination, see totality. All right. I am one of your students.